Welcome back, Capital F football fans, to the O&O Sports YouTube channel. Today, we are continuing mine and Reed Napper's Power 4 head coach tier ranking. If you haven't seen the first part, it's already out. It came out on Tuesday. What are you doing? Go check that one out. Come back to this one or watch this one. It's not necessarily continuous. You can do whatever you want. Just be sure to watch both. Like and subscribe if you enjoy it. It is much appreciated. And without further ado, the final part of the Power 4 head coach tier list. Next, new UCLA head coach, but not new coach overall. It's Bob Chesney, formerly at James Madison, where they won the Sun Belt this year. Honestly, a very good hire, in my opinion. I think he's good. I will just say that first of all. I don't think he's either of these guys. I don't think he's an Eric Morris. That's close, actually. I think he might actually be better than Eric Morris. Hasn't been there for a long time, but they've been very good since he's been there. Obviously, he took over for Kurt Cignetti. So, I mean, Kurt took half that roster, so you could argue rebuilt them. I would probably put him below Willie Fritz in the good.
He's definitely around that range. I don't know about the fit at UCLA. I'm not denying he's a good head coach. I think just the fit at UCLA, he's never been a coach on the West Coast, so that's definitely going to be interesting and new to look out for. But I think as a head coach and as a football coach in general, I think he's firmly in the good category. But definitely interested to see what he does out at UCLA.
Next, it is Barry Odom, formerly at Missouri. Didn't see a lot of success there. I believe he was there during the Drew Lock years, if I'm not mistaken. Then UNLV, they made the Mountain West Championship. I don't believe they won it, but was at the top of the Mountain West at UNLV. Now at Purdue. Obviously, wasn't very good this year, but it's Purdue. It's the first year. What can you say? I will put him probably at the top of mid. I would say probably above some of these guys. I think we need to move Bill Belichick, to be honest.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that earlier, but I didn't know what you'd think about that. I think we got to put Bill at the bottom of mid or in bad.
Because I was judging a lot of these guys based off him. Like, okay, so he's better. And I'm like, wait, so were a couple of these guys. Anyways, that's fine. I would put, that's tough.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. Yep. Because he's better. He's better than Lance Leipold to me. He's better than Dion. I think just solely on his pedigree at Power 4 schools, he's not at the level of Dave Aranda. He hasn't competed for a conference championship. He hasn't had a winning season, I believe, at Missouri. I don't know off the top of my head, but at least at Purdue, he hasn't had a winning season yet. So we'll see, but it is Purdue. So wouldn't be shocked at anything.
Next, we have Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee. This year, they win 10 games. And I mean, Vanderbilt is another one of these schools, like Kansas, like Indiana, hasn't been very successful in its history. And this year, for them to win 10 games, that is a testament to how good Clark Lee has been. I think he is, once again, towards the top of good. Don't think he's great. They won 7 games last year, and you could 7 wins at Vanderbilt's pretty good, but they're still mid. I think he's surpassed that with 10 wins. I'm excited to see what they can do with Jared Curtis. I think Jared Curtis could slot in and be directly what Diego Pavia was, and they could be right back in the mix. But we'll have to wait and see there for now. I think he is safely at the top of good.
I think he's right in front of Summerall, only because of the success he has had at a Power 4 school. Whereas Summerall is just getting to the SEC at Florida. So I'd put him right there. The 5 coaches in front of him on that list have been firmly established at their schools. Clark Lee is on the ascension towards great, especially at Vanderbilt of all places. They're going to be must watch football, especially with Jared Curtis taking over for Pavia.
Next, this one could be tricky depending on how you look at it. It is Oregon head coach Dan Lanning. Oregon wins the Big Ten in its first year in the conference with Dan Lanning in 2024. They've made the playoffs 2 years now in a row. Haven't won it. They've gotten close, kind of. But could you argue that he's an elite head coach? 2 playoff appearances in not that many years.
I am putting Dan Lanning in elite, 48-8 overall record, an 857 winning percentage, has acquired and produced some of the best talent in college football. I mean, that's Oregon money. But aside from that, Dan Lanning, there has been a narrative around him that he can't win the big game, and that's shown the last few years. But I think Dan Lanning is at the bottom of elite just solely because, I mean, what he did as a coordinator was outstanding. What he's done in his early years as a head coach have been outstanding. So I think he is right on the ledge between great and elite, but I would lean elite.
After Dan Lanning, another interesting one in my opinion, it's Fran Brown of Syracuse. Now, in his first season, they come onto the scene, and they're one of the best teams in the ACC. They win 10 games. Kyle McCord has like 10,000 passing yards somehow. They're pretty good. This year, battled a lot of injuries. They lost Steve Angeli earlier in the season, their starting quarterback. And from that point on, it was kind of downhill. Defensively, they were always a little bit worrying just because last year they were as well. You could argue both mid and good. He is right in between. I think since he has gotten to 10 wins, he should at least be in the same category as Mike Norvell. Although this year they were terrible. Not to overcredit him because this year they were terrible, but injuries, whatnot. I would say he's good. I would say he's probably above Bob Chesney, below Willie Fritz.
Yeah, it's definitely been a downward trajectory since the 10-win season, but I think there's still a lot for Brown to prove. So I'm good. I'm good with good.
After him, Rutgers head coach Greg Schiano. This guy has been around since the 50s, it feels like, and he's still at Rutgers, and they have not been very good. 8-9 win range a couple times, but I think he's firmly in mid. He's essentially just Pat Fitzgerald, but at Rutgers, less academically strenuous than Northwestern.
Greg Schiano, in his second stint at Rutgers, let's not forget that second stint at Rutgers, he's 33-43 overall. So that's the definition of mid. And especially at a school like Rutgers, they've produced a couple of players that are worth notability, but at least this past season, number of standout players that they did have are at new schools. So he can't retain his talent. I mean, he's not going to win more than 6 games a year, in my opinion, at least in the regular season. Could win 7 with the bowl game. But yeah, Greg Schiano's definition, once again, definition of mid head coach.
Some technical difficulties here, folks. This is Jake Dicker. We thought this was Jake Dicker. It's Jimmy Rogers, also formerly of Washington State, now at a new school, Iowa State. So Jake Dicker is going to go here. That's where he was, right?
Yes. Yep.
And now we're going to do Jimmy Rogers because, like the silly dummies that we are, I mean, they do look kind of similar. It's neither here nor there. Okay, Jimmy Rogers, formerly of Washington State, now at Iowa State. They were like 6-7.
They were average last year, yeah.
So, and that was his first year. Formerly of South Dakota State.
I mean,
mid. Let's just rid our hands of this filth that we call diagnosing.
Put him right there. Put him right there. Yep. There we go.
Pretend it never happened. Next, you see who it is? It is James Franklin, formerly of Penn State, now at Virginia Tech. A man that needs no introduction, a man who I think is a great head coach. Couldn't get over the hump at Penn State. We all know that. We can all acknowledge that. He was still very good. Last year, obviously, not very good. A lot of injuries. He gets fired after losing to UCLA, but I'm willing to look past that. I still think he is a great head coach. His resume says that. He's been at the top of the Big Ten, or I guess was at the top of the Big Ten every single year perennially. I think he is firmly above Kenny Dillingham, but I'll wait to see what the aficionado on Penn State football has to say.
I'm perfectly fine with you putting James Franklin in great. Actually, where you put him right there between Mario and Kenny. Proven track record to rebuild programs, proven great recruiter year over year, numerous players put into the NFL. So I'm good with him right there. I think Virginia Tech is a great fit for him, similar to where he was when he took the Penn State job. I think it's a similar style. So he's going to rebuild them. They're going to be pretty good going forward. So I'm good with James Franklin and great.
And we'll move on with that. Jedd Fisch, Washington head coach, former Arizona coach. I think he's good. He took Arizona out of the gutters. He moved to Washington, struggled in year 1, now is struggling to retain a quarterback.
They retained him legally.
Yes, legally. That's how you want your quarterbacks. You want your quarterbacks legally retained. That's how you want it in this modern landscape. I think he's good. I think he's fairly above most of these people.
I think especially taking the Washington job, to me, it felt like out of nowhere because DeBoer got up and went to Tuscaloosa pretty quickly. So to go from Arizona to Washington, which, coming off that success with DeBoer, it's kind of hard to live up to that. So I think there's still a lot for Jedd Fisch to prove at Washington. So I still have hope for him at Washington. I think he's been a pretty solid head coach so far in his career. So I think he's firmly in the good category, right where we put him.
Next, another tricky one. It is Josh Heupel. We are now encroaching upon 3 different lines worth of good head coaches if we go good here. I think he is at the very least at the top of good. I would have him probably above Drinkwitz. You could argue great, maybe even above Kenny Dillingham, just because they've been at the top of the SEC and they've been hovering around potential SEC title contender every year for the past like 3 years. So I would probably go very, very top of good.
So the way I'm going to measure this based on the what is that? 6 coaches right behind him. How many of them have made the playoff?
1.
He's a great head coach, especially because based on after the whole Nico situation to have the relative success that they did have
That's fair.
with Joey Aguilar, he's a great head coach, and I think also his recruiting tactics have been very successful so far. So I think his talent acquisition is pretty good.
And the offense is always elite.
Yep. So I think just solely based on his offensive output alone, he's a great head coach.
Next, another kind of tricky one, Joey McGuire. Prior to 2025, in the middle to upper tier of Big 12 teams, struggled defensively, couldn't really figure out an identity offensively. Now they went 12-2, won the Big 12, made the college football playoff, got a first round bye, top 4 team. Is that enough to say elite?
I think he's in the great category. He's 35-18 overall, which is a 660 winning percentage. Has shown consistency there since he took over in 2022. Clearly on the best trajectory of any Big 12 team. That's probably right where I would put him as well. They're going to be competing for the Big 12 again next year. So Joey McGuire, I think, is in a great head coach conversation.
And these two right here are actually very similar. So
yes,
I think just because Miami made it further this year than Texas Tech did, that's about where it separates, I think.
That probably, yeah.
Next, It's Luke Fickell of Wisconsin, formerly of Cincinnati, when they made the college football playoff. So he has that. At Wisconsin, he does not have much, if we're all being honest. You could argue bad. I would say mid, just because, yes, at Wisconsin, he has been not very good. There's no getting around that. Not very good. But this year, they could have been a lot worse than they were. And they kind of figured it out at the end. You can feel them, and we've been saying this for a couple of years, so take it with a grain of salt. We can feel them kind of turning into something, which doesn't sound very good going into year 4. But I think that is what separates him from bad to mid.
Yeah, and his record speaks for it. He's 18-20 in his years at Wisconsin. He was hired in 2023. Again, 18-20. I think they finally have the best quarterback in his tenure so far. I would consider Colton Joseph to be the best quarterback so far in his tenure.
Great
personally.
name.
Yes. Great name. So I think Wisconsin, especially like you said, at the end of last year, they seemed to figure it out a little bit. A lot of those players could have backed out, could have went into the transfer portal late in that season, just said this isn't worth my time. But they bought into what Fickell was telling them, and they got some wins at the end of last year. So I think they're finally, backing him with the resources that you need in this day and age. And I think he's back on the upward trajectory. It's not a steady trajectory, but he's at least teetering back in that direction. So I probably would keep him in the mid, probably in the middle of mid.
Next, it's getting crazy. We have USC head coach Lincoln Riley. Another one of these fringe guys up here, and you can see the list is perplexed by Lincoln Riley. It's freaking out right now. I would probably say great just because of what he did at Oklahoma, multiple playoff appearances. USC, they've been not great some years, and this year they were pretty solid with Caleb Williams. They were pretty solid in the first season. I would say great.
Yeah, this is another tough one between great and good. Since he got hired in 2022 at USC, he's 31-21, just below a 600% winning percentage. So he has seen some decent success at USC. Probably right where it's really tough because actually, I probably would put him right between Heupel and Drinkwitz. So probably right at the bottom of great, honestly. He has a great track record at Oklahoma. It still has yet to be seen those heights at USC. I think he's right there on the edge of great to good.
And I don't know if you can see it, but we are in the final stretch officially. The last head coach has appeared at the end, and he is last, not for any particular reason, but it is funny that he is last. Before him, though, obviously, we have Matt Campbell, now the head coach at Penn State. I would say he's very easily in the good, not the greatest overall record, but like Matt Rule, who shares a first name with him, he's taken over Iowa State team. That was not good ever, really, before him. So another one of these coaches, like Cignetti, like Leipold, like a few other guys, who's taken over mediocrity, hasn't exploded into an absolutely elite program, but definitely had them at a better spot than they were before him. The question to me is, do we have him in this upper tier of good or kind of towards the middle? I would say probably here.
Dude, great minds think alike.
Yeah,
That is exactly where I was going to put him. Now, new Penn State head coach Matt
right.
Campbell, and Colton, I know you're a big Matt Campbell guy as well. This was a very underrated signing to me. I mean, just based on all the other head coach signings, I think Matt Campbell can do great things at Penn State, but obviously I have bias to that. So, just aside from that, his record at Iowa State is really good, especially with the talent that he did have. As you said, very underwhelming Iowa State program, and brought it to levels that they had never seen before. Got them the most wins that they had ever seen in the regular or in a season period. Won the Big 12. So,
Multiple appearances in the title.
yes, multiple appearances in the championship game. So Matt Campbell is firmly in good.
After Matt Campbell, it is Mike Elko of Texas A&M, formerly of Duke. Did very good things at Duke, got them to the upper tier of the ACC. Now at Texas A&M, they were a playoff team. In year one, they remained in the 8-4 kind of hex that they had been in for what felt like forever. Mike Elko gets them the identity on offense that started to work. Defensively, they were amazing as well, and they made the playoff. Could have made the SEC title game if not for the loss against Texas at the very end of the season. I would say probably at the bottom of great or top of good once again. I would say at the bottom of great.
That is a great spot for Mike Elko.
Literally.
Especially since being hired at A&M, he is 19-7, so a 731 winning percentage. I think just based on that immediate success, especially a jump from Duke to Texas A&M and the expectations that they have there, he's definitely met them, if not exceeded them in his first 2 years. So I'm going to go bottom of great.
After him, it is new Utah head coach Morgan Scalley. I'm not actually sure if he has been a head coach. I don't think he has.
Nope,
So
only an
he is
assistant.
new. After him, Pitt head coach Pat Narduzzi. Now, try to hide your biases, Reed. I'm going to say, honestly, probably good. They've seen some very good seasons at Pitt. I believe they win
Won the ACC.
the ACC in 2021
with Kenny Pickett, beat Wake Forest.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Fake
I
slide.
think, oh yeah, ball knowers, right here. I would say probably above Manny Diaz. Actually, they both have won an ACC title. I feel like Narduzzi. Ooh, that's tough. Actually, you could argue either. I don't think he's better than Brent Key is now. I think Pitt is going to be a solid team every year, probably 7-win range.
Yep.
Perennially. I would put him right there.
Yeah, I mean, him and Manny both have ACC championships. I think even the wherewithal, I'm not basing this off his entire career. I'm just talking recency, but to bench Eli Holstein to go to Mason Heinschel after 5 games and see the success that they had, almost play for an ACC championship. That's recognition from a head coach to realize the talent that you have on your roster. So I will put him in good. And I think Pitt will stay average.
After him, we have Rhett Lashley of SMU, ascended onto the Power 4 scene in 2024, made the ACC title game in its first season, like Oregon did, but SMU is previously a G5 team. So that's very impressive. This year, they were solid. Definitely fell back a decent bit, but definitely, in my opinion, still very good. This is another one of those guys in the same kind of range. I might have him above Narduzzi. I might have him above Brent Key. Do I have him above Norvell? No. But you could argue it. I think with them reaching the heights that they have in such a little amount of time as a Power 4 team, in my opinion, is what makes them. And prior in the G5, they were very, very good under Lashley. I'll just leave it at that.
It seems to be an ACC theme. Just want to throw that out there. Rhett Lashley, since being hired in 2022 from SMU, 38-17, which is a 691 winning percentage. And at a school such as Southern Methodist, they do have the resources and they have used them wisely, and that's shown on the football field. Rhett Lashley, I think, is a very upper tier of the good head coaches. He is close to Norvell, especially with the downward trajectory that Norvell is on. So I also just like Lashley as a person. I just think he's a great guy from everything that I've seen from him. So I'm good with the spot that you put him in. He's in that Brent Key. I'd put him above Narduzzi, but yeah, on par with with Brent Key for sure.
After Rhett Lashley, it is Rich Rod, the legend, West Virginia head coach, Rich Rodriguez. Honestly, in recent memory, it hasn't been very good. I feel like the West Virginia hiring him was kind of a reach for a flash in the pan, kind of what they once were. Is it crazy to say that Rich Rod is at the very top of mid?
No, I don't hate it, just solely based on his previous success at West Virginia and now being back there. Familiar fit, as we talked about, but I think they're not really getting any better with Rich Rodriguez. I feel like they're kind of at the same point that they were with who is
Neil
the
Brown.
yes, now at North Texas. I think they're kind of on this similar level. They didn't really do much of a search. I feel like they just listened to a lot of former players. Not going to name names, but a lot of former players had a say in this, and I feel like that's where they landed on. So
Sonny Dykes of Texas Christian University, national championship appearing head coach in the 4-team playoff. Now, he's not great. I think we can realistically say that. It was a very good team. It was a very, very good team. I feel like he still, though, is at the top of good. Now, where is obviously the tricky part.
36-17 record at TCU.
I'm okay with that. I mean, national championship appearing. I feel like that's what separates you from a Clark Lee, who's been very good at Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's Vanderbilt. But I mean, for as bad as they've been at times, or I guess average as they've been at times, I feel like that's a good spot. After him, I can just tell. I don't even need to see his eyes. I can tell who this is. Shane Beamer of South Carolina. I really want to like Shane Beamer. I want to like Shane Beamer. I like him as a guy. I like what the South Carolina program is under Shane Beamer, but they just haven't gotten there. They won 9 games in 2024. South Carolina fans tried to burn me at the stake because I didn't think they were a top 25 team coming into this season. They won 4 games. He's an every other year type of head coach, so they could be solid next year. Gonna be an uphill battle in the SEC once again. Is he above Rich Rod? I would probably have him 1 notch below him, maybe 2 notches, just because I feel like both those guys have been around longer and thus experienced more success. So I would put him there.
I'm good with that. Okay. Yeah, it definitely, like you said, it's an uphill climb. I mean, it's tough. If we're talking about his dad, we're going elite, but he's not his dad. He's not his dad.
We're not talking about his dad.
Nope. So he's got to go in mid.
After Shane Beamer, Scott Frost. Scott Frost is technically a national championship winning head coach, and other than that season, has never had a winning season in his entire coaching career. What does that mean? I couldn't tell you, but
bad.
I would say probably, bad. I was going to put it mid.
Bad.
It wasn't me.
Hey, bad if not the bottom of mid, like even below Belichick.
Well, ball knowers would remember what happened this year when they faced each other.
They did beat him.
Bill Belichick also technically isn't a national championship winning head coach.
See, you throw out technically, like we say that about every national champion. You know, technically Indiana was the 2025 national champion.
Well, they won the game. UCF didn't win the game. They didn't get to play in the game, but they didn't lose either. That's all I'm going to say.
You're right. They won the Peach Bowl.
Good for them. They did. They beat Auburn. They beat a solid Auburn team. One of the last Gus Malzahn teams. And now Gus Malzahn was there. It all connects. Let's just leave it at that.
It's similar to the Rich Rod hire. I feel like they just had no other option.
I think they could be solid this year. Big 12, not known for, Texas Tech now has a very good defense. But even the top tier of Big 12 defenses are like probably middle of the rung, except Texas Tech, obviously, in like SEC or Big 10. I think they get Alonzo Barnett. They get some solid pieces.
Great signing.
I think they could win 6 games, 7 games.
No, bro. I'm okay. You can put him at the bottom of mid, but it's close. It's close for me.
Moving on. Steve Sarkisian of Texas. This is a juggernaut. Now we know a fella who would probably say he's here, somewhere here. Mm-hmm. I would say, they weren't great this year. At points it looked like they were a 7-win team. Is my thing. I'm okay. I know a lot of Texas fans probably aren't, but I'm okay with this. Made the playoff a year ago. Probably could have been in that range had they not lost to Florida.
I'm good with him right there.
Yeah. I would have him firmly below Dan Lanning.
if we're talking solely about his talent acquisition, he's elite. If we're talking about him holistically as a head coach, I think he's at the very bottom of elite. Like numerous other coaches we talked about, great offensive mind, but does it translate to being a consistently productive head coach? I still think we're yet to see that, but I'm good with him at the bottom of elite.
After him, Virginia head coach Tony Elliott, who before this year I would have said very easily bad. But they were in the mix for the ACC title. They won 10 games. With that, one good year. Is that enough to say good at the bottom of good, or is it top of mid?
I think I would even put him a couple rungs into mid. I would put him right in front of Shane Beamer.
Ooh.
To be honest. His overall record at Virginia is 22-26 since he got hired in 2022. That's a 458 winning percentage. He could go into good, especially with the acquisitions he made in the portal this year, aka Bo Pribula or Eli Holstein. So yet to be seen, but I do think Tony Elliott is on a upward trajectory towards being a good tiered head coach.
Tavita Pritchard of Stanford. I don't believe he's been a head coach, has he? He was on the staff at Stanford prior and then makes the jump to the NFL and now is back as the head coach at Stanford. New head coach. And finally, the granddaddy of them all. You could argue the biggest name in the sport currently. You could argue that. Probably Cignetti, but you could argue he's up there. Lane Kiffin. If we're talking from a moral perspective, somewhere in here. But we're talking about strictly on-field performance as a head coach. And I think in that he has to be towards the top of great. I think so. Somewhere here.
He's definitely in the great category, just where you put him.
I think we see, national champion, one of the winningest coaches ever. College football playoff appearing, national championship appearing, playoff appearing. Technically playoff appearing.
Playoff appearing.
So I would say I would have him above McGuire just because McGuire, this is really his only good year. I think they will continue, and I think Lane Kiffin has had multiple best in program history seasons with Ole Miss. So I would put him above McGuire, below Cristobal, just because Cristobal now has national championship appearing head coach in his bio.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Though I was going to propose the way we, disperse this. Him, McGuire, Franklin, Dillingham, Heupel, and Elko, but he's at the bottom. All had one playoff appearance.
That is true.
So does Lane Kiffin. So, but if we're going off sustained success, he's had pretty much the best success of all those coaches.
It's not crazy to say that. And we're done. That's it. Do we want to make any changes? One of the things I thought.
Yeah.
I thought about that as soon as I did it.
I would even put him above Golish and Summerall.
That's true. I mean, him and Summerall technically are like the same guy, except SMU moved up. If Tulane had moved up and then they won the ACC or were in the ACC title, that's one.
To do that in your first year.
I think the toughest one is Dabo. 2-time national champion is tough not to put an elite. I just don't think you can say he's an elite head coach anymore. He could go back if he embraces, which it looks like he's kind of doing. But I would say I'm good with this.
Dabo would be one I would debate, and Bill. But then again, it's a 1-year sample size, so it's really opinionated.
It is really tough. I do acknowledge your Scott Frost argument. I could definitely see that. Hasn't been very good. I still think, that one season, season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's an outlier. It's an outlier. If you looked at it on a graph, he's steadily here, outlier, and then fluctuates back down.
But as is, my hands are up. I think I'm done. I think we have finally completed the official. This is you can write this down. You can tweet it. You can do whatever you want. Clip it. This is the official 2026 college football head coach, Power 4 in parentheses, tier list. These are the best head coaches. Cignetti 1, Kirby 2, Ryan Day 3, Dan Lanning 4, Sark 5. And if we want to continue, Dabo, Kyle Whittingham, Marcus Freeman, Mario Cristobal, and Lane Kiffin.
I'm good with that.
Thank you for watching. As always, if you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to check out the Love for the Game podcast. You can see the @ right here next to Reed Napper's name. Friend of the channel, go check out his page. Thank you a lot once again for doing this with me. I know it's been a long, arduous process. The final video is going to be way, way less than it actually was. There's a couple hiccups throughout the way, but thank you again. Hope to see you again on the channel soon, and I will see you in the next one.